Okay, hello everyone, welcome to By the Minute Mixed Martial Arts. I'm Jody Jameson here to talk about UFC 210 that's coming up tomorrow. Before we get to the card, we've obviously got to talk about this morning's weigh-ins, which were insane. If you haven't seen it, the big story coming out of it the two big stories coming out of it was the Pearl Gonzalez fiasco and the Cormier Rumble Johnson almost fiasco, but still kind of. So we'll start with Cormier and Johnson because I think this will take a little less time. We got to about, obviously you got the 2 hour window for weigh-ins. We got to about, I'm thinking maybe 2 minutes before. No, it was a little earlier than that, about 4 minutes before. Cormier comes in, weighs in at 206.2, which means that obviously 205's championship weight, and at that point the title fight's off. Now obviously there's the possibility that Rumble, if he makes 205, the fight will still be on, and possibly it might be a situation where Cormier can't retain but Johnson can win the title, but that was never really cleared up because of how quickly things happened. So Cormier disappears off. At the time there was a report saying Rumble wasn't even in the building, so it was like he's not making weight. Then all of a sudden Cormier comes back, weighs 205, Johnson walks in straight after him, weighs 203.8, and the fight's on. So good news. But the early speculation was pretty much that Cormier just went and taken a massive dump and made the weight from 206.2 to 205. I think that it was 2 minutes and 20 something seconds between these two weigh-ins, so obviously losing 1.2 pounds that quickly, something's going on. So that was obviously what a lot of people kind of joked at first, but when people watched it, I mean, it's clear that Cormier is holding on to the towel at the front, and the towel, holding on to the towel, it might sound a bit strange, but that can just give you a little bit of leverage to be able to make weight. It's an old wrestling trick. Anybody who's done wrestling will tell you this, right? And there is supposed to be someone on the commission who is there to do something about that. Now, the guy from the New York State Athletic Commission afterwards tried to make the excuse that Cormier grabbing onto the towel would actually add more weight. So I don't know what he's talking about, to be honest, but yeah, that was kind of ridiculous. Obviously I'm glad that this fight is going to take place, and it's going to take place for the title, but absolute shenanigans going on there. The New York State Athletic Commission, though, for all that they failed with that, they've really let Pearl Gonzalez down now. Pearl's supposed to be fighting Cynthia Calvillo tomorrow. We still don't know for sure if it's officially cancelled. I'm recording this just before 9 o'clock, so the ceremonial weigh-ins will be taking place in about an hour. In about 3 hours. So we don't have confirmation yet. The early indication was that the fight has been cancelled, but UFC are fighting to try and keep it on the card. I've got my Twitter open here, so I'll try and keep an eye out and see if anything changes between now and the end of this video. I'll try and see if anything's been announced. But basically, as it stands right now, this fight has been pulled because Pearl has implants, and it's. I'm gonna try and not swear when I do this, but I probably will. Now, we had Pearl on the show last week. She was obviously very excited. This was going to be her UFC debut. A fantastic fight, third on the pay-per-view card as well. Really looking forward to this one. And what has happened is that a rule that has been grandfathered over from the New York State Athletic Commission's boxing rules has just gone straight into it. A lot of what's happened with the legalization of MMA in New York over the past year is just archaic rules being grandfathered from boxing over to mixed martial arts. I'm just punching the mic, sorry about that. And one of them is that female boxers with implants are not allowed to box in New York. If you've had a breast reduction, you're all good, but if you've got implants in there, then they don't allow you to box in New York State. And that would be one thing, but the NYSAC obviously did UFC 205 in Madison Square Garden. The opener of the main card was Raquel Pennington against Miesha Tate. Everyone knows that Miesha Tate's got implants. It's the worst kept secret, and to be honest, it's not even a secret. Everybody knows that. So how that fight was able to take place, I don't know, and this one's been scrapped. This makes no sense. The other thing I would ask is there any scientific evidence that this is a problem? It just makes no sense to me whatsoever that this would be even a discussion, to be honest, because again, where do you draw the line? And to me, I don't know how this rule got put into New York, but doing a little bit of research, when this rule was put into Louisiana's boxing commission, this wasn't put in as a case for fighter safety, because if something was to happen with the implant and it bursts, the way they're made now, and I'm talking like I know a lot about this, and this is all the stuff I've been reading, it doesn't sound like there's a massive danger to the person, and Louisiana put it in not because it would be a danger to the fighter, but weirdly they put it in because it would be a great expense to the fighter to have to replace it, and they were kind of worried that would come back on them. And to be honest, this is kind of an argument, and I don't want to get political, but this is kind of an argument about guys throwing their oar in on stuff they really don't know about. I mean, to me, like, this is, I'm not going to say this is a sexist decision. I think it's a very poorly thought out decision by a bunch of men, and I feel really bad for Pearl. I hope the fight does make it. There was a couple of UFC sources that Ariel Helwani quoted, didn't give the names, but said they were quietly confident they could get this fight back on, but we will have to wait and see. It's been official weigh-ins ended about, it was about 4 hours ago, so so far nothing. So let me just see if anything's changed. Dana White has just tweeted, "Stop listening to websites and whoever. If you don't hear it from us, it's probably not true. This fight is on." So I hope you can see that. You can certainly see the picture. Let's see if you can read the text. That's just came through in the last 2 minutes. I can't read it on my screen, so I don't think that was of any use to you, but that's a very good sign. And whether that gets announced or not, we are going to preview that fight as we go forward. We're only going to preview a few as we go forward. So hold on, what's this? My mate just sent me this. What the hell's this? What the fuck's happening? I need new friends. Right, so yeah, let's get to this card. Alright, let's talk about it, and let's hope that Dana White's tweet is definitely true, because Pearl deserves to fight on this card, and so does Cynthia. So it's really, really important to me and to those girls and to a lot of people who have followed this story that this fight happens. I'll have another look in a bit, but we'll talk about this card. So quick run through the prelims as it stands right now. Let me have a look. I'll bring up the card. For some reason I can't turn the brightness down on my laptop screen, so if you're getting some glare in my glasses, it is something I haven't noticed before and it pisses me off, but for some reason the brightness won't go down on the screen. So opener, UFC Fight Pass has got 4 fights on it at the moment, and last time they did this, they tried to fit it into an hour and 3/4 and it was a nightmare. It's really fast to watch, but I'll be covering it on By the Minute tomorrow and it's a bloody nightmare. So, opens with Magomed Bibulatov against Janelle Lausa. Bibulatov is one of the best thought out, the highest rated flyweight prospects out there, so fingers crossed that he can put on a really good show, because flyweight's deep, but obviously no one really sees anybody at the moment who's going to challenge Demetrius Johnson. I kind of like Ray Borg in that division, but if there's someone else that I quite like, it's Bibulatov, and hopefully he puts on a show and shows that he belongs to open the card. Khalil Chukagian and Irene Aldana, this will almost certainly be a stand-up fight and a really exciting one as well. I imagined a possibility where if the Gonzalez-Calvillo fight falls out, this might actually be promoted to the main card, but we'll see what happens. Definitely looking forward to that one. 2 bantamweights. Aldana might move to featherweight at some point, especially if Aldana loses this fight. She might think about going to featherweight, because it's something that she wants to do, and she kind of sees bantamweight as more of a challenge at the moment than anything else. Chukagian might be one who goes the other way if a flyweight division was to open. So this is kind of interesting. Aldana would probably be more suitable a division up. Chukagian might be more suitable a division down. So we'll see how that plays into the fight tomorrow. Chukagian goes in as a slight favourite, but keep an eye on that. That might be something that's quite interesting. I don't know exactly from watching them who'll have the strength advantage in this fight, but I think Aldana may have a slight size advantage, so we'll see what happens. Certainly Chukagian's last fight against Liz Carmouche, which was actually the first fight back in New York after the ban, it was Carmouche's strength that won that fight. So we'll see if Aldana is able to utilise that tomorrow. Josh Emmett and Desmond Green. Josh Emmett looked really, really good last time. Desmond Green, I'll be honest, I don't know a lot about Desmond Green, but I'm certainly looking forward to seeing Emmett again, so excited for that. And the featured bout on Fight Pass, Gregor Gillespie against Andrew Holbrook. Andrew Holbrook is one of those guys that I think is a really good prospect, but it's going to be hard for Andrew because he doesn't tend to have the most crowd-pleasing fights. So it's these guys, especially the way that UFC is being booked at the moment, these guys take a bit longer to get up there, so we're going to see what happens with Holbrook. Gillespie, interesting fight, good one to open up, to close out the Fight Pass portion. I always recommend getting Fight Pass. I think it's a fantastic service, and with the 4 fights here, I think there's some good stuff to watch, and you'll probably still have your free weekend, so keep an eye on that. Opening the main card, Patrick Cummins, Jan Blachowicz. This is a good fight in terms of a matchup, in terms of two guys who are pretty evenly matched, I think. But I also think this could be a pretty boring fight, to be honest. Blachowicz, I can't remember the last time he had an exciting fight. Cummins is kind of hit or miss in that sense, so as a crowd pleaser that might be a little bit difficult, but I'm interested to see in that division who's going to take the next step. Charles Rosa and Shane Burgos. Shane Burgos is making his debut. I don't know a huge amount about Shane, to be honest, and I don't have a feel for this fight at all, just by not knowing enough about Shane and only knowing a little bit about Charles Rosa, so we'll skip over that. Kamaru Usman and Sean Strickland. This could be a really good fight at welterweight. Sean Strickland edged out, if you remember, a decision against Tom Breeze. It was Tom Breeze's first loss, and I thought it was a very close fight. I can't remember who I had winning that fight, but it was really close, and when you look at the way Breeze had been performing, it's a good feather in the cap for Strickland. Kamaru Usman can be really exciting at welterweight, so definitely looking forward to that fight and seeing how it goes. Miles Jury and Mike Della Torre is the featured bout on FS1 or BT Sport if you're over here in the UK, and I honestly can't see past Miles Jury for this fight. I just think that I was trying to think about it before, and there are small paths to victory for Mike Della Torre, but to be honest, the path to victory for Miles Jury just looks so much more obvious to me, so I honestly can't see past Miles Jury in this fight. I'm going to have a look, actually, if I can bring up some odds for the main card while we do that, because it opens up with Will Brooks and Charles Oliveira, and I'm very interested to see how this one is looked at with the bookmakers, because I really like Will Brooks in this fight, but I thought the bookmakers might have this quite even, but Brooks is a pretty big favourite, to be honest. I like Will Brooks in this fight, to be honest. I expect Will Brooks to put on a show. He hasn't really put on a show yet in UFC. He's a former Bellator champion and a really talented fighter, so I'm hoping this will kind of be his coming out party, especially to open up the pay-per-view card. There's no better place for him, so definitely looking forward to that. Patrick Cote and Thiago Alves, I don't really have a feel for this fight. To me, Patrick Cote is one of those guys with so much talent, but has never really lived up to it. Every time he gets that big fight, it doesn't tend to go his way, because obviously he beat Riggs, he beat Berkman, he beat Saunders, and everybody's like, oh, he's finally there, and then he went out and got knocked out by Donald Cerrone, so he's always kind of missed when the opportunity came. Thiago Alves, an interesting matchup for him. What was Thiago Alves? I've completely forgot Thiago Alves' last fight. He lost to Jim Miller in the 205 prelims, right enough. Alves missed weight badly for that fight, and now he's moving back up to welterweight, so I think he's more comfortable at welterweight, to be honest, so I would kind of draw a line under the Jim Miller fight. The fight before that, I remember, was Carlos Condit, and I mean, that was when Condit was on a roll, so maybe a bit of a mulligan for the Miller fight. He missed weight badly, and when that happens, you can sometimes write that off, because even though they've got a slight weight advantage, it doesn't really help in the cage. So very interested to see what Thiago Alves has. The favourite for this fight is Patrick Cote, slightly, so it's probably where I would have it. I like Cote in this fight, but I really don't know what to expect from Thiago Alves, so we'll see how that goes. Cynthia Calvillo and Pearl Gonzalez. Dana says it's on, so let's preview it. I was going to preview it anyway, like I said, but for me, Cynthia's gone in as a big favourite for this one, and I think part of that is based on with two things. One, she looked amazing at UFC 209. The transitions on the ground when she got into that sort of kind of like an anaconda choke, but it was hard. I wanted to call it a Peruvian necktie, but she went up rather than down, so it'd probably be more of an anaconda. And then she slipped her hips, did the gator roll to take the back, and then it was all she wrote from there. That was a total star-making performance for me. And the other reason is just because a lot of people don't know Pearl Gonzalez that well. So you've got the interesting matchup of a girl who's not well known against a girl who 4 weeks ago or 5 weeks ago had an amazing performance. So I can understand why Cynthia goes into this as the favourite. And gun to my head, I would probably give an edge to Cynthia for this one. But what Cynthia did really, really well against Amanda Cooper was get her down and grapple. And that is where Pearl will want the fight to be. Now, Cynthia's stand-up game does have a couple of holes in it that Amanda Cooper kind of exposed. But the one thing I noticed that Cynthia did quite poorly against Amanda actually was when she threw a shot, it came back down. It didn't come back straight back, it went down. And Pearl doesn't have elite stand-up game by any means, but if Calvillo's defence is as sloppy, she will be able to take advantage on the feet. But I don't expect this fight to spend a lot of time on the feet, to be honest. I expect this fight to go to the ground quickly. And I actually think they're reasonably evenly matched on the ground. I think that Calvillo obviously put on that performance, but I actually thought when she fought Montana Stewart in LFA, which was the fight in January, I believe, it was the fight before Cooper, I thought Calvillo's transitions looked a little bit clunky. And obviously you can tidy that up, but in a few months she went from looking a bit slow and a bit cumbersome with her transitions to that amazing gator roll. So it's hard to tell whether she was maybe having a slight off night but was just too good for Montana Stewart, and that was what to expect going forward against Amanda Cooper, or if the Amanda Cooper thing was literally let's just try something, because Cynthia admitted herself that she had never tried that move before, and look what happened. So it will be an interesting fight. I think if you're a grappling fan, I think this is going to be really exciting. What I kind of hope comes out of this fight is that the idea of putting this third from the top after Calvillo's had one fight in UFC and Cynthia's making her debut is that Pearl has the opportunity to take Cynthia's star, and if Cynthia has another great performance, she becomes the next big thing at strawweight. What I would quite like to see in this fight is somebody win 29-28, even if it's a split decision, in an absolute barn burner of like a grappling like super fight, like a fight of the night thing, because that way no matter who wins, if Pearl wins then it's like, well, Cynthia still did this and had a great fight here, and then if Cynthia wins you go, great, she's 2-0, but Pearl Gonzalez showed a lot here. That's what I hope for this fight, because I see no reason why both these girls can't go on to really big things in the women's strawweight division. I kind of expect both of them to be in the top 15, if not by the end of the year, very early into 2018. So I kind of hope whoever wins this fight, I kind of hope it doesn't end up being a little bit one-sided. I do kind of hope it goes to the judges and we have an absolute barn burner. So good luck to both girls. Good luck to Pearl. She was lovely when I spoke to her last week. A really great guest. You should go and check it out on the channel. And hopefully this fight actually happens. It's looking promising from what Dana said. I'll just have a little week through Twitter again. Let's see. What's this? Dana calls fake news on everyone who reported this, but the truth is UFC lawyers were working this whole thing out until just now, as we said. So that's Adam Hill, who's an MMA writer, a good one as well actually. I like Adam Hill. Let's see, so it's looking good. Dana White announces it's back on. Yeah, so looks like we're good. And I hope it stays that way. I think we'll get a really good idea tonight. It's round about midnight UK time, so it'll be like 7 Eastern, I think, will be when the ceremonial weigh-ins are on. And if they're on the stage, then the fight's on. If they're not on the stage, then fight's off. So 2 seconds. Ariel Helwani's on it. Let me just repeat what he said. Right. Commission informed Gonzalez earlier this morning the fight was off. Since then, she provided them with medical documents. As reported earlier, UFC tried to save the fight. As of right now, her team tells me they haven't officially been told it's back on. Dana White tweeted the Gonzalez-Calvillo fight is now back on. According to Mark LaMonica, the commission has now decided to clear her. Never should have been an issue to start. Embarrassed 2 fighters. Disingenuous to claim it was never an issue. Why did they reverse course? These are some of my thoughts on this Gonzalez story, Ariel keeps saying. In the end, though, glad they came to their senses on this one. What a day. Here's a statement I was provided by this is John Pollock. Here's a statement I was provided by the New York State Athletic Commission regarding Perro Gonzalez. After careful consideration and review, including a conversation with Perro Gonzalez's treating physician, the commission has determined that Ms. Gonzalez is medically cleared to participate in UFC 10 in Buffalo, New York. Life is great again. So, fight's on. Excellent. I'm delighted for that. I feel bad for the girls, especially Pearl, for having to go through all this because it was a nonsense, but I'm delighted the fight's back on. So that's brilliant news. So that'll be third from the top on the main card. We will go on to the co-main event just now. I think that's as good a transition as we're going to get. I really don't like this fight for Chris Weidman. Now, Gegard Mousasi, as a lot of you know when you watch him, what he does well is work his jab. And it sounds really simple to just simplify it like that. But for me, I think that this might be kind of interesting in that Gegard will be able to utilise his jab against absolutely anybody in the middleweight division. But Weidman has a very long reach for that division, and that might pose some problems for Gegard. I mean, Gegard's not a small guy for middleweight by any means. I mean, he has fought a light heavyweight before. He almost fought a light heavyweight at UFC 206 when they were initially looking for a replacement for Cormier in that rematch. But the reason I don't like this matchup for Chris Weidman, and I think I've talked about this before on here, I know there's no tune-in fights in UFC, or certainly, tune-up fights, but Chris Weidman, after losing to Luke Rockhold, and despite the fact that was obviously a really close fight, Weidman made a big mistake and then got a real beat down, and that takes a long time to recover from. And then he, in his next fight, it was 11 months later, got knocked out by Yoel Romero's flying knee. And to me, I always have a little bit of concern about that, and I'm not saying so much that I worry for Weidman's health, but I think that Weidman can obviously be a big star in this division, but if you matched him up, and I know this is a tough argument to really make, but I would have liked to have seen Chris Weidman face Anderson Silva. And I know they fought twice, but there is always a kind of school of argument, even though it's slightly unfair on Chris Weidman, that Weidman won both fights against Anderson Silva, but in such a strange way that people can put an asterisk on it, and that's kind of unfair. But in the first fight, obviously Silva was messing around, and then Weidman knocked him out when he had his hands down at his side. And then the second one, Anderson threw the leg kick and broke his own leg. Obviously really unfortunate, and I think at this time that would actually have been a perfect matchup for both guys, because Silva, I don't know what's going to happen with Silva next, to be honest. He was supposed to be fighting Kelvin Gastelum, but if you saw, I think yesterday, Gastelum's been pulled for failing an in-competition test for marijuana, so that fight's been pulled. That's another argument for another day that I suppose we can have. In fact, we'll have it. Saw that, right? For me, marijuana probably shouldn't be on the banned list, but at the same time, marijuana, when you're failing in competition, that's kind of a problem, right? In the same way that if you were drunk in the cage, do you know what I mean? It's like, I don't mind guys smoking weed. I don't think it's a problem, but I don't want stoned guys fighting. And if some of you might remember, there was a fight from Pride. I can't remember who it was, but Nick Diaz beat somebody. And when they did his test, it was literally impossible that he wasn't completely stoned out of his mind in that fight. So you don't want a situation where that happens for two reasons. One, you never want anybody who's high on anything in the cage because it's bad for their health. But also, in a weird way, right? Somebody who knows more about marijuana should probably can correct me in the comments if you like for this one. But I kind of feel like obviously, if you smoke marijuana, and I'm not going to pretend I haven't tried it, okay, and I'm not going to pretend I didn't do it for a little while, but not too long, you do lose some inhibitions, and that might help in a competitive advantage when you're going to an octagon. It does help in that way where you're not really that scared of anything, which, again, also it may make you a bit more reckless, which might be a very good thing for a fight where you might go in cagey, who knows, but it might be a very dangerous thing as well that could get you knocked out when you shouldn't be getting knocked out. So in a way it is altering performance if it's not so much a performance enhancer, but there's arguments to be made on either side. I'm okay with guys smoking weed in the UFC, to be honest, but there has to be an in-competition window that if you have it in your system, then it is a failure. That's genuinely what I believe. In the same way that if Michael Bisping, I suppose, is the best example because he turned up pissed up to that press conference with George St. Pierre. Sorry, I am going to move this a little because the glare in my glasses is pissing me off. It's still there. If he turned up that pissed up as he did for the press conference to the fight, then that's a problem, and it's got to be the same with marijuana for me. I think it's a debate that we will have to have going on though, so let me know what you think. Anyway, back to the fight. Weidman obviously has great wrestling. Weidman can beat you in a number of ways, but I would have so much preferred this and not to be the fight. And the way Gegard is fighting right now, it's very rare actually. I think Gegard's on a 4 or 5 fight win streak, and obviously Weidman's on a 2 fight losing streak. It's very rare that two people like that would be matched up together. I know the bookies have got Mousasi as a slight favourite, and that's pretty much where I would have it. But I'm interested to see how Weidman's reach will upset Mousasi's jab going forward. So that's a really interesting fight. So I don't expect the winner of this fight to get a title shot either, despite the fact that Gegard is well overdue. You'd struggle to justify it for Chris Weidman, especially because everybody knows Yoel Romero's got to be next, and I mean Yoel Romero was the one who knocked out Weidman at UFC 205. So you couldn't really justify it for Weidman, but the way Mousasi's performed over the last wee while, it's long overdue. So, but again, I don't think he's going to get it, and I think Mousasi is on the last fight of his UFC deal, so that could be a really interesting situation because Mousasi might consider holding them to ransom and trying to get his title fight that way, and one of two things would happen: either he gets it or he ends up being the next big signing in Bellator or something like that. So Mousasi's next move after this fight is very interesting, and if you watch the official weigh-ins this morning, Mousasi just couldn't be arsed. It was like he just kind of got on the scale, weighed in, went to fuck off, and everybody was like, you gotta get your picture taken. It's that kind of way, and he just wasn't interested. So I don't think Mousasi has really got any patience. I was at his last 2 press conferences, the one in Manchester after UFC 204 and then the one in Belfast after UFC Belfast, and the change in Gegard's outlook and the change in the way he comes across to what he was like before was just completely different. He's always been quite a chilled out guy, but now he's literally at that don't care stage. So I wonder what's going to happen with Mousasi after this fight, win or loss. Loss, I expect UFC to lowball him as well, so there's no guarantee that whatever the result is, his next fight is going to be in UFC. And the only way they can really guarantee it is if they're going to give him a title shot, which I don't think they will. So keep an eye on that, whatever happens in this fight. And then the main event, we talked about the weigh-in shenanigans with Johnson and Cormier, specifically Cormier. Obviously Johnson just turned up at the last minute and made weight. I don't think I'm going to shock anybody really breaking down this fight. I think if this goes past 7 minutes, I think Rumble's goose is cooked. We haven't seen any evidence that Rumble has the stamina to go longer than he did at, was it UFC 187 when he faced Cormier the first time, and part of that is obviously, I mean, he knocked Glover to shit out in 13 seconds. You know, I mean, what you can't argue. But if Johnson's able to get to Cormier in the first round, then he's got an amazing shot. And Johnson's going in as a favourite here, so that's interesting in itself. But Cormier, and I don't know if he's bluffing, right? I don't know if he's bluffing, but Cormier has said he will try and have a stand-up fight with Rumble. Partly, if he's telling the truth, then that's maybe a byproduct of the fans really getting on Cormier's back over his style. Because Cormier, in his last couple of fights, has literally just taken guys down and lay on top of them. And it's effective, but the fans have started to really turn on Cormier because of it. And I'm okay with Cormier changing his style this late in the game, but not for this fight. Now, obviously, there's a possibility that he's bluffing. I mean, Anthony Johnson did this to Dan Hardy years ago when they fought. Johnson and Hardy were talking about it being a stand-up fight, and then Johnson took him down and lay on top of him the whole fight. So maybe Cormier is bluffing, but I think if Cormier does stick to his word and has a stand-up fight in the first round with Rumble, I think Rumble will knock him out in the first round. Now, Rumble caught him in the first fight and Cormier was able to weather the storm. Rumble went crazy trying to get the finish, and that was part of the reason he did gas as early as he did, and Cormier was able to just dominate till he got the finish. Now, if Rumble does catch him, especially like after, it was in the first minute the last time, I can't remember how quickly, but it was within a minute. Johnson's number one priority is probably not to be a crazy person, because if you can't have lightning strike twice. You can't have a situation where he knocks down Cormier, goes crazy for the finish, doesn't get it, and he's out of gas. So he's got to be smarter, and he's got to be more precise, and he's got to pick his shots if he does wobble Cormier. Because if he wobbles Cormier, it's going to take Cormier a long time to get back in that fight if he's able to withstand the power. So Rumble's game plan has got to be a little bit smarter and not be so impulsive if he drops him. And if that happens, I would probably fancy Rumble to win, but there's only so many of those big shots as well. I mean, Johnson could land the same shot he did at the first fight, and that could put Cormier's lights out, because your chin only takes so many of them, and that was a big shot. But I mean, the beauty of this fight is that you can make a very, very strong argument for both guys, because obviously if Cormier takes him in the middle of the second round and even clinches him or gets him down and is able to lie on top of him, again, it might be boring, but there's only one winner if Cormier empties Rumble's gas tank. But an interesting thing about Cormier's gas tank is that Cormier didn't look well at weigh-ins today, and that can always be a telltale sign that a guy's maybe not going to be at 100% when it comes to cardio the next night. So maybe if we do get in the second and third round, Cormier might not have the gas tank we are used to, especially against a guy like Rumble, but I'd still fancy that he'd be able to last longer. So a really interesting main event. Who's next for the winner? Who the hell knows? I mean, I would still love to see Jimmy Manuwa get the shot. I've spoken about the fact that Gustafsson and Teixeira are facing off. That could be a title eliminator. And then obviously there's the return of John Jones in July, which is almost timed perfectly for the winner of this fight. So who knows what's going to happen with the winner next. There's obviously arguments on different permutations. Like, Rumble did knock out Manuwa, so you'd be looking at maybe something a little bit different for him, but he also knocked out Gustafsson, so there's that. Dana White has said that John Jones will not main event for him ever again. He said that quite a while ago. The proof will be in the pudding on that one, because I do expect John Jones to get a title shot by the end of 2017. Whether it's straight back or whether he fights, even if he fights the loser of this fight, say, and I think that's a fight that probably should be made. If you look at matching up the champion with either Gustafsson, either the winner of Gustafsson Teixeira or Manuwa, and then you match up the loser against John Jones, that makes perfect sense to me. You could do it on the same fight card as well, whether it's 213, which I assume is going to be the International Fight Week card, or whether it's 214 or 215 or whatever, right? That's how I would do things going forward, but I kind of don't expect that to happen. So so UFC 210 tomorrow night. If you're in the UK, coverage will start at 11:15 PM, so it'll be 6:15 Eastern, 3:15 Pacific time. we will be going through on the website bytheminute.co. We'll be going through pretty much the first prelim all the way to the main event, and then what we'll do when the main event wraps up, I will take said laptop from the TV back here and we'll get live on YouTube and we'll do a post-fight show and we'll talk about what we've just seen. Hopefully I'll be able to adjust the brightness, because this screen lens thing is really pissing me off. So yeah, we'll get all that done tomorrow, but keep an eye out. Also, go back and check our chat with Pearl Gonzalez. She was one of my, if not my, most favourite guests that we've had, and lovely girl, really good chat. We talked Chicago baseball, we talked our journey to the UFC, we talked obviously the Cynthia Calvillo fight. So really good chat. It's about 17-18 minutes long. I definitely recommend it. It's actually become our most popular video so far on our nice fledgling new channel, so here's to many more like that. But yeah, we'll wrap up just now. Enjoy your Friday nights, enjoy the fights tomorrow. Come on bytheminute.co and give me some nonsense, and then I will speak to you again on YouTube. It'll probably be about 6 AM UK time, so I will be shattered. We'll see how it goes. Thank you.